gonna try to read this without my glasses because I can't. I think I lost them because I sleep in the woods. But it's a introduction to an affidavit that I'm gonna have to. Good Lord, I don't know. I'm gonna have to read this to every company in the United States because I can't get anyone on the phone. Affidavit of Michael Ryan, Ray, identity theft, cybercrime, mortgage fraud, et al. I would like to start by displaying a couple of legally relevant research crops, which, in my legal opinion, spanning from my first job out of Paul and Mayberry Law School in Baton Rouge with the late and Honorable Pike Hall Jr., Justice of the Louisiana Supreme Court in New Orleans, home of same, as well as the United States Fifth Circuit Court of Appeal, which resides over and is the proper appellate jurisdiction for the state of Texas as well as Mississippi. The blessings I received do serve as Justice Hall's judicial clerks to the ability to review writs to the court, brief, to determine if I believe the cases assigned to me were such, to take a rare under 2% grant of certiorari to receive hearing at the highest court other than the United States Supreme Court, federal courts aside. This experience, especially as I grew older, provided a manner of reading to interpret law with a keen and steadfast eye sharply on legislative intent. This, I believe, has given me a special ability to always see exceptions, to see laws not achieving what the legislative sessions intended, to see absurd results, lack of access to justice, as well as any other manners in which the Supreme Court chose that they could see the case. The legal writ filed as a court of last resort with the ability, of course, I was heavily leaning on Justice Hall's legal mastery. I could not begin to explain this, to simply be part of it, as the legal education is something I can't even begin to describe. The blessings Justice Hall is just quite simply, as the other justices of the Supreme Court, are on another level. They're great men. I learned everything I know from him. The legislative branch, to get into some of this, as I know some people reading this, from police officers to lay persons, I believe that they deserve to have a chance to know what is going on here, so that they might not be scared and might be certain to, of course, be innocent, as there is a higher power in this that is causing chaos and fraud at a rampant level, to where murders and sealed cases are disappearing and not even being investigated. The legislative branch, as one may or may not know, is a thorn in the checks and the balances which our government structure is in the United States is based on. One, the executive or the governmental bodies enforcing laws, which are of course enacted by the legislative. Two, legislative or drafting, creating the laws to ensure that the executive branch is enforcing those laws in which the people have voted in through putting their legislative parties into office. The judicial branch, or the third of the checks and balances, which common sense should check one as the others do. However, the judicial has an extra bullet out of necessity. The judicial branch has the legislative branch can legislate from the bench, or literally make law. This clearly implies legislative power as well as the formal power and reason for the judicial entities to judge how laws are being enforced, made, and to ensure the laws are following what the legislative intent may be. In other words, ensure the will of the people through voting on our laws will be and is being given due process, and no absurd results are being whatever. Sorry, I'm struggling here. These exceptions are too numerous to even begin to memorialize herein and in this affidavit, but I can state it has to do with reason, reasonableness, and not allowing absurd results to be unexpectedly a result of legislation. If so, the law must be changed. The training and how I received is applied the height or pinnacle of legal training received from the justices, debates, hearings, simply on the job training. It was a blessing. It wasn't that I was smart. I just was blessed enough to be there and absorb it. I had an uncanny ability, I must admit, to know laws ultimately without research because of how I know the laws were made. I found I'd think of what a law may be, and I would just Google what I thought it would be. After 102 years of jurisprudence would have formed it and morphed it into proper reason, and 99 times out of 100, I found the law with just looking for what I thought it should be. I say this not to be boastful because I am humble, but I do need people to listen to me because they have ignored me for 10 years, and as a result, I have not received an inbound call in 7 years nor talked to anyone I know. I do not know if anyone that I know is even alive. I only own what's on my body, and I sleep in the woods, despite being plucked out of my house in Beverly Hills, working for the top Major League Baseball Players Association agent in the world that gives routinely the top free agent deals. Barry Bonds and Jose Canseco may be someone you've heard of. I was a partner in that firm amongst a lawyer in 3 states. I believed the laws to be even obscure concepts. I'm sorry, that was repeating that. I was blessed, but also show my legal knowledge likely is not only superior to the non-legally trained makers, and this is no slap, people are in different branches, so they train differently. But without legal training, then this is the type of thing that we need to know, especially when you have 9 federal cases in 4 states, and I am the lawyer and plaintiff in all of them and have never been in front of a judge. As I type and as I speak, there are cases in my insurance to collect all my house money, title insurance, and it is going, it has been filed in bankruptcy and is in receivership under someone else's name. In Florida, I can't reach the judge, but the taxpayers in Florida are now somehow paying for Louisiana fraud that came from a sealed case in California that was filed in Dallas through the magistrate judge despite failure of a waiver, meaning that case will come back. The case, because there was a second tumor putative hearing and the $100 million hearing was actually altered because my expert's cell phone numbers were taken from me. The $100 million hearing should have been part of the bankruptcy that was filed without my knowledge and sold my house in Fort Worth. Vanessa McLaughlin, who people certainly understand I have no love lost for her. She certainly did not deserve to be murdered. No one does. And this karma is odd in that I love people. I'm an ethical person. I would never harm anyone, and I would like to have justice for her. I feel that I have a relatively certain idea how this went down. Her husband is the constable that threw me out of the house. She's a bankruptcy judge, but also a county attorney. Filed a restraining order against me, tossed me out of the house. I've been walking streets for 6 years. I had to be out of the houses so that all the other fraud could go down. My guess is Vanessa was forced to do this. The constable was arrested for her arrest, her husband, and then he died in prison. You just got to be relatively certain to know that was a murder. It didn't happen for 8 years till I was in Denton. I was kidnapped for about 7 years and I couldn't leave due to my disability. But when I got to Denton, I was going to put them on my stand as my 2 witnesses, and they were both murdered. I've not been murdered, but my driver's license number shows I never had a license, and no one in Denton will call anyone. My number is now 999 transient. I've been taken back to the shelter despite being a master's student at UNT, active in good standing in the Texas bar at the time and the Louisiana bar, Major League Baseball Players Association, NFL, also a member of the Dallas bar and Denton bar and Baton Rouge and New Orleans bars, and having my title licenses to do title closings. I went in to turn in this bankruptcy fraud 3 years before the murder of the party. I just hate to say it. I feel bad even for people that do wrong. She didn't deserve this, but had this report been taken, not only would all the creditors be paid, from UT Southwestern to every top corporation, from Bank of America to anyone, mortgages, they would all be paid, and there wouldn't be 2 murders. My guess is there's 2 more. I cannot get a hold of the Texas Rangers or the DAs. As you know, the Texas Rangers only come in, they come in if there's possible police involvement, corruption within the district attorney's office, and I am trying to get a hold of them just to tell them what I know. I believe that a $100 million hearing that should have been part of a bankruptcy, and it was not, certainly is motive. I would have no guess as to who did it. There's too many parties, it's too complex, but working together, I believe the Rangers could find out, but I'm unable to reach anyone in over a year and a half, and I am the only person. It is a mathematical impossibility that anyone else has any other knowledge because the case is sealed. I filed it, and no one has ever spoken to me nor deposed me. So any talk that it mentions me, has anything to do with me, connected to me, my money, is rank speculation and is hearsay by definition. It could never be admitted into any type of evidence whatsoever. They must talk to me. Due to slander, defamation, fraud, et al., I feel I should give my background after my Supreme Court days to allow those whose job is to digest this and have nothing but the worst possible feelings of me as everything from a meth addict to a person who has, I kind of put a thing there, everything. No one will talk to me. Gosh knows what they're saying that I did. To digest this, hopefully add to this, I'm having a hard time reading. The facts of the crimes possibly committed as well as the laws, and we can work together and exclusively look at this in private. And my personal story, being in isolation for 7 years, no person have even asked me one question. I kind of went ahead of myself on the mathematical impossibility. These are all connected. The lawsuits all are connected, even though they're in 4 states. I would have to explain that, but it would take quite some time. Robert Shapiro would be probably the first person to call, but until the authorities let him know what's going on, I would not dare call anyone for risk of them hanging up on me or having a worse opinion of me. Now that the Texas Bar Association has indicated that I need to bring them the police reports, which didn't refuse to write for 3 years, so that they can put a fraud tag on my Bar Association page so all people know somebody's been acting as me. I am wise enough to know there is insufficient communication from Boca Raton all the way to West Hollywood and all the way in between in these cases, and they are connected by federal law. And now there has been a death, and I hope there's not going to be another. It's now or never. This must be done now. This is 10 years late. There have been millions of dollars lost. The persons that no one thinks about, or the legal entities rather, are the 50 corporations that got zero money, even though $700,000 in my name was stolen by the deceased party. Technically, if it wasn't solved, I could be put in prison for tax evasion and withholding assets for the rest of my life. But I was smart enough to call Washington, D.C. the day that it happened to turn myself in, and they knew that I didn't do it. Why nothing's being done, I don't know. I am the attorney of record in all 9 federal cases and the plaintiff, and I'm an officer of the court by definition. I have the power of the U.S. trustee except for investigation and punishment. I have the sole ability to get all evidence, immovable or movable, real or intangible, depending on if you're in Louisiana or Texas. All the witnesses are mine, whether they be FBI agents, judges. This is such a complex case that it's not to boast. These are simply my witnesses. I'm the only one that knows the story of how 500 people in 4 states can be connected. They all go through me. It's just common sense. They go through me. I'm the only one that could possibly know. I can question them because I know the truth. I can talk to executives at the FBI who have told me I called too many times. I've only called them once. The Texas Rangers, I am trying to call to give them information that they need as they are on the case. The IRS, I need to pay my taxes and tell them that there was money in the bankruptcy. The Federal Trade Commission has already ruled that there was cyber crimes. The district attorneys have all refused to talk to me with reasoning that I won't even go into. Sheriffs and basically anybody else. But I have nothing but love for everybody because I have come to the conclusion over time that everybody that I've ever known cannot be a monster. There's a very powerful force at the top of this that can alter federal hearings and have them not follow federal guidelines. 4 bankruptcies in 4 states are filed and all judges don't know about each other. I think that's enough for people to know there's somebody powerful. This person can also make a call and get me out of a brain surgery and into a psych ward, despite the fact that 15 times they've said stop sending him here. He has no psych case. I must immediately be taken. This is the solution section. I have tried this. I must immediately be taken to the United States trustee Pam Bessel to be verified as not the party that filed the bankruptcy. I did not appear before her, and that simply is something that will be taken. I kind of fumbled that up. I can't really read this. Basically, what I'm saying is in the forms on a bankruptcy, it discusses much about federal prosecution, and it indicates that the creditor's 341 meeting, the debtor must appear at the 341 meeting in front of Pam Bessel or the U.S. trustee in that particular district in person with an ID, or it cannot go forward. I did not do it. Quite simply, a police officer or anyone with any authority could call Pam, a lawyer, a member of the bar, a teacher. I've asked everyone in this town every single day for 3 years, and I haven't gotten one person to even do anything but take me back to the shelter and put my address as 999 Transient. She will say, no, it wasn't him. And suddenly the impossible and the improbable, I don't want to cry. I'm not a callous man. I love my family very much. I haven't seen them in 7 years. Some have passed away. I want to see my family immediately. I need 4 brain surgeries. I believe once she says it wasn't him, suddenly that's enough. My father and people, as we all know, money does play a factor in life, and it shows that I did not snort my houses up my nose. They were sold out from under me, and there are still active cases. All the cases are told, so there's roughly $50 to $100 million in cases now because of the punitive. But they're told because my lawyers signed me in, and Judge McBride of the Fort Worth Northern District indicated in an injunctive hearing that I have a brain damage, and he couldn't understand what I said. If a party has an injury, physical injury such that they cannot file, a case is told, meaning the statute of limitations never starts. So that the case statute of limitations never will start until I do not have brain injury, which will never happen. So the cases are live, meaning they were emergency ex parte hearings. The one in California was mandatory ordered alternative dispute resolution. For 30 straight days, I was thrown out of the office of the defense counsel despite serving them. When I ran out of money and came back to Texas, they sent an email and dismissed the case for lack of prosecution. I have the email. I can't say how I have it, but I have it. One thing I know not to do is I don't ever even insinuate anything about people that I don't know that they are in fact guilty. And possibly if I did, I would never mention a federal judge. That's just not wise. My opinion is that since my family appears that they have abandoned me, but no one has my phone numbers, my driver's license number's gone, people probably think I'm dead. I believe that everyone has been duped. As Carl Sagan said, when One, when people have been bamboozled, they no longer search for the truth. It's simply too painful to admit that they've been taken. The bamboozle has captured them. Once you let a charlatan take power over you, you almost never get it back. That's what has happened here. The bamboozle has captured everybody, and it's too painful for everybody to admit they were taken. But my father told me one time, and he's the smartest man I've ever known, Michael, how could you be right and everyone in the world be wrong? Sadly, that's what has to happen here in a nutshell. I was right and everyone was wrong. I was called delusional, and that's why my family turned on me, because I said somebody filed a bankruptcy in my name, and the judge came, expunged it, but they never called and erased it, and none of the doctors or anyone ever said that I was actually correct precisely down to the tiniest minutia. They left it at delusional and then dangerous, which is what my family thinks, and it's not true. If Pam Bissell says I did not show up in front of her, one call, and I would pray to God that my family comes and picks me up, and you would see a man cry. I stopped crying because they said that I had a crying disorder. The difficulty of this case, I was high risk. I can't read some of this, I'm sorry. Oh, I've tried to turn this in multiple times. Nobody will even read the cases. It's prima facie proof. Now that once there was a murder, I thought certainly that would have people come to me, because it also was in the newspaper article that not only did she do bankruptcy, she also did mental evaluations, and she did restraining orders. It's clear I was thrown out of the house so that they could sell the houses. I will say that, and this is opinion, when I found out that she had filed this bankruptcy, I called her and she answered. I do believe that maybe a power higher than her made her do this, because I have a pretty good eye for this from my Supreme Court days. I said, I heard that you had sold my houses and are giving my rent money to somebody else. And she said, yeah, I didn't know they were your houses. And I said, what are you talking about? Did you go to law school? Did you study the title? She hung up. In retrospect, years later, I thought the way that she said that seemed honest. I didn't know they were your houses. Doesn't seem like somebody that is the mastermind behind a 4-state mortgage fraud, bankruptcy fraud. Still, nobody will read this. I can't get anyone to do it. I don't look it, but I am frightened to death. Likely, if I could just get a lawyer to help me type, because of my eye aphasia and lack of coordination from vestibular disorders, I just simply can't type what I know. An injunctive hearing would be immediately rendered, and considering what's going on, it would probably be pretty significant. And the irony and what kept my faith in God, logic was what kept me trying to be a man of faith, but logic is what now makes me know that there is a God, because the truth is the truth. And the very people that I owe money to, that all hate me and have ruined me, they are subrogated to my rights as co-financial victims, and now all the creditors will be on my side. And if I could get a hold of their lawyers, which someone else could, they would all be on my side and go get the money. This would allow me to not miss 6 brain surgeries. And of course, I could pay people back. My father went to UT Southwestern. That's his alma mater. I'm sure that plays a role. Number 2, medical. The most chronic and critical in 4 to 10 years. So before I begin to go through the salient issues and the facts regarding the affidavit, as people will need for their own personal purposes, I will attach things with experts. Everything that I'm stating is fact, unless I put a caveat, and I will attach forensic experts that have stated much better than I ever could, and it will be attached once I can, or if I can get this type. So I can get out of middle and love again. I'd like to still get married, even though I'm 55. I don't know who anybody wants the 70-year-old father. The doctors will all show that there is no drug, no alcohol, no danger, anything that the family needs to know, because they certainly will. I'm smart enough, and as you may have seen on the movie Castaway, after they saved him and everything was good, they had to tell him his wife was married, financial stuff. I understand that they probably have police out. That's the way that it goes. I understand they did what I would have done. My houses were gone. No one knows where I am. They assumed I was an evil drug addict, and they will be told I'm not, but I understand there will be some bad things. I don't want their money. I just want to be home and love my family and have all of my people that thought bad things know that I'm a character person. I'd like to recruit some athletes and coach some ball. I love my family first and foremost, and I will not ever sleep until I return to them, no matter what. See Dr. Mims. Dr. Mims notes that there is forgery, fraud, and abusive disabled. He says possibly my brother and my mother were involved. I need this because it may be the hardest part to get past, but it's very simple. My mom's name my mom wrote the false phone number on there, but I am absolutely certain she was forced to do it. If a district attorney tells somebody to do something that's 80 years old and does not know the meaning of the word capacity, they're going to do it out of fear. She was under complete duress, and my mom and my brother actually need me to be the ones to show that they have absolutely nothing to do with this. They're guilty of nothing. I love them. I want to see them, and it's going to be hard, but 10 years has gone by, but I love them nonetheless, and I want nothing from them but love. I lost my life, basically, so please let me die in time, as I'm 3 years past the time I was supposed to leave. I was supposed to be inpatient TBI for 10 years, and I have not done it. Inpatient TBI, unlike psych, is the party that rounds up all your finances and educates your family. But clearly people were in place to be sure that I didn't have that done, or the bad guys couldn't have done what they did. It seems that God is going to make it to where hopefully, if I can live, that the bad guys will be caught. As they say, you can escape everything in life but death and taxes. I have to get all my phone numbers back that Hood County has so I can do my taxes for 12 years, piece together my life, pay my taxes, and then when my time comes. However, God and I have been working on something for a decade, and if certain things happen, a law in California I would like to change at the U.S. Supreme Court called MICRA will be the last state in the United States to overturn the law so that poor people can get adequate health care, and it will save millions. I would gladly die to have that done, but that's my goal, not to go after anyone. I want to forgive everyone. Now I'm out of time, so I will have to go in and tell them, you got to do this report, or I'm going to have to sit you down and ask you why you didn't, but I'd rather you just do it. You know, I know y'all were fooled like everyone else. Just take me home. My background was Louisiana Supreme Court law clerk out of law school, Louisiana Second Circuit Court of Appeal in Louisiana, Wilkinson, Carmody, and Gillum Insurance Defense, representing Kansas City Southern and Southern Pacific Railroad, Caston and Pierce Insurance Defense, where first time I met the owner of Easy Mart, I took the clients. Dan Legrone, federal bankruptcy, I did bankruptcy. I got tired of law, worked for Pfizer for 2 years, worked for United Title in New Orleans as a title attorney, the managing and closing attorney responsible for rainmaking. I did this in New Orleans, took Katrina. Cashman Equipment, I was an international offshore oil and gas general counsel, doing contracts all over the world. Then Ryan Law Firm, my own firm, which is to this day Beverly Hills Sports Counsel, certified player agent for the NFL, Major League Baseball. Ryan's Beverly Hills after I left that. Rhino Marine, brokering barges, and then a master's student at UNT, licensed for law in Texas and Louisiana. And my advice, my litigation consists of all blah, blah, blah. And I say this, and I almost don't believe it myself, but if somebody could help me so that we could talk as professionals, all evidence, all intellectual property, all anything, all parties, regardless if they are a district attorney, whether they're an FBI agent, just simply a party, a homeless person, everyone is my witness. because I'm the lawyer in all the cases. This isn't to say that's the type of witness that you're trying to get in trouble. Quite simply, I just need to know what happened. Who was it that was fooling everyone and calling people? And hopefully I can get enough to give to the Texas Rangers and the FBI, and they can go after the bad guys.